you want to know who were the fiercest warriors throughout human history? We'll give you a hint. Most of them came from ancient China, but that's not all we have. From men whose arms were cut off and they tied knives to their arms, all the way down to the sharpest snipers in the world. Here are the top 10 deadliest warriors. So let's dive right in, people. Number 10. Galvarino. This is the guy we were talking about in the intro. He was the guy who got his arms amputated. Galvarino was a warrior fighting for the Mapuche, a tribe located in the territory of modern-day Chile. He fought in the Arauco War, but the tribe lost to Governor Mendoza. So what did the governor do next? He took him, along with 150 of his tribesmen, and cut off their limbs. Some only lost their right arm and nose, while others like Galvarino had both arms amputated. People say that the man didn't even muster a single peep when they chopped off his two arms. After they massacred all 150 people, they set him free. Galvarino left immediately, and he did the following. He went straight to the Mapuche Council of War and smashed that like button if you haven't done so already. But no, he actually cried for justice. He raised both arms and screamed for his tribe to avenge the mutilations. For his bravery, the council made him a commander of a squadron. The man tied two giant knives to his hands and went to battle against Governor Mendoza. Khal Drogo, is that you? Number 9. Khanam Tom. Some say he's the father of Muay Thai, and others say he's the greatest fighter the world has ever seen. So let us tell you a little more about his legacy. During the Burmese invasion of Thailand in 1767, Khanam Tom was one of the defenders of the city, but Lord Mangra defeated the Thai people and took their city. As a form of entertainment, the Lord liked to pin his slaves against Burmese soldiers and see them obliterated in hand-to-hand combat. That is, until he saw what Khanam Tom could do. When it was time for him to fight, he started doing a little dance. This was done in order to pay homage to his former teacher. Now, the first person Lord Mangra sent in the ring was knocked out. Angry, they sent 10 more soldiers, one after the other, and Khanam Tom took all of them down. The Lord saw this and did the following. He ordered Khanam Tom to be freed and be given gold, as well as several women. Some even say the Lord said, had the commander of the Thai army fought like this warrior, Thailand would still stand. Number 8. Simo. What would you do if you had a sniper that could kill 5 people per day for 100 days? You'd give him the best gun and don't meddle in his work, that's what. Simo was part of the Finnish military, and he's most famous for his service during the 1939 to 1940 Winter War. He was good for 3 reasons. First, he managed to kill more than 500 people during the war. The exact number of the victims were unknown. Second, he buried himself in the snow so the enemy couldn't see him. Third, he used to shove snow in his mouth so his warm breath wouldn't give away his location. That's the type of man he was. Buried in the snow, eye on the lens and scoping for the next enemy soldier. But something terrible happened on March 6, 1940. The man was hit by an explosive bullet and leapt unconscious. Seeing half of his face blown to bits, the soldiers threw him in a pile of dead bodies. A short time after, they saw his leg twitch, at which point they knew he wasn't dead, and they carried him to the nursery. Number 7. Marcus Cassava. If you want to know why we included this guy on our list, you should be aware of the fact that he is one of the fiercest warriors in the army of Julius Caesar. In fact, he was a centurion commanding 80 legionnaires below him, and some of his bravest moments include fighting in the Battle of Dyrrhachium and driving back the Pompeian cohorts. When all of the other senior centurions were injured in battle, Marcus took on the mantle and led the defense. And don't think the man didn't get injured in the battle. He lost an eye, but the arrowhead didn't make its way to his brain. With one hand, he pulled the arrow out, screamed a battle cry, and continued fighting. For this bravery in battle, Caesar awarded him handsomely. His pay was tripled, and his status was changed to Primus Pilus in the army. Number 6. Lu Bu. Although we don't know a lot about Lu Bu's physical appearance, They did say that this Chinese warlord and military general had unmatched competence and prowess in battle. He specialized in horseback riding and archery. The name of his steed was Red Hair. For this deadly duel, people even came up with the famous phrase, "Among men, Lu Bu, among steeds, the red hair." But his life came with numerous exiles, and here are just some of them. Working during the Eastern Han Dynasty in Imperial China, Lu was first in service of Ding Yuan, whom he betrayed and murdered. Dong Zhuo was the next big warlord he killed. There are more of them here, but we're not going to get into all of them. We're just going to add that he served as a general in the army of Emperor Xian of Han from the year 192 until February the 7th, 199. Number 5. Miyamoto Musashi. Musashi was one of the deadliest swordsmen in the 16th century Japan. Aside from his unique fighting style, he was also a philosopher, a strategist, an author, and a ronin. He even wrote 2 books called The Book of 5 Rings and The Path to Aloneness. But writing books is not what we came here to talk about. We want to see how many people he murdered. For that, we will need to look at the history of his duels and his fighting style. When it comes to duels, not a single person could even come close to his record of winning 61 duels in a row. The runner-up was Ito Itosai with 33 duel kills. But what made him so unique on the battlefield? It was his double-bladed swordsmanship. He later used this skill and founded an entire fighting school called Niten Ichiryu. Number 4. Saigo Takamori. He is one of the bravest samurai that fought against the Imperial Japanese army. He was one of the most influential samurai in the history of the country. And on top of that, he led the Meiji Restoration. Some even went so far as to call him the last true samurai. But now, let's talk a little bit about the most notable battles. The Battle of Shiroyama. At Shiroyama, Saigo led the Satsuma domain with 500 men against the Japanese Imperial Army that had close to 30,000 men. He fought with unbreakable spirit, but the 30,000 men were too much for Saigo. He was wounded in battle and immediately after performed harakiri. Number 3. Genghis Khan. There's not much we could say about Genghis Khan, except that he's a badass. He managed to unite all of the nomadic tribes in Northeast Asia and proclaimed himself, get this, universal, oceanic, and firm strong ruler and lord. That's the name Genghis Khan translates to. What did he do after this? He started the Mongol invasions, and in them, he managed to conquer almost half of Europe and all of Asia. His empire stretched from Poland to Levant and the whole Asian continent. That's why he's considered the ruler of the largest and most powerful empire in human history. Number 2. Sun Tzu. No military mind even comes close to that of Sun Tzu. He wrote what is considered one of the most influential books in military and war tactics to this day, called The Art of War. He wasn't keen on fighting, so he looked at alternatives and avoided conflicts as much as possible. To give you an example of what we mean, here's a story about how Sun Tzu used tactic to defend his city. The enemy was at the front gates with an army that far outnumbered that of the city. Sun Tzu realized he couldn't take on the general, so he opened the gates to his city. The invading forces stared at the gates for hours before marching back home. They were too afraid to attack the city, fearing that Sun Tzu had something up his sleeve. Number 1. Alexander of Macedon. Now history tells us that this is the fiercest warrior in all of human history. By the time he was 30 years old, he had created an empire that spread 3 continents including Europe, Asia, and Africa. Starting at the age of 16, he fought in many battles and never lost a single one. Across the years, he named 70 cities after him and even named one after his horse. And to this day, his death is one of the greatest mysteries of the modern world. After he died, some scholars say that he was preserved in honey. That's unexpected. And on that note, we end this video. But hey, do you know any other deadly warriors that existed throughout history? You can tell us in the comment section below. And if you'd like more videos like these, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss any of them. And as always, thanks for watching, guys.